Hello, Swerv family.
Hello.
Welcome to the Swerv Show. Oh, we've been altering this name. We're going to figure it out. Swerv Radio, whatever it is. We have, of course, we have Tony Nelson back, the one and only legendary.
What's up, Tony?
Tony Nelson. Yes, we need to look at the camera, y'all, not look at ourselves.
Look at the camera
right
here.
Okay.
We're getting better at this, Jacob. Thank you. And then I have Yarde Noir.
Hey, Yarde.
What's up?
Our editor at large at Swerve Magazine. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. And, you know, we are still riding the tide of our March-April issue, which was our plus-size issue.
I'm sad I missed that show.
You didn't? Oh, yeah. But we've been giving love to the big boys and big girls the whole...
We love the big boys.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So let me check in with my host here. What's going on with you, Tony, these days? What's hot with you?
What's hot with me? You know, I'm working. Well, I know we're gonna talk about it soon, but I'm be working at the Bachelor's Meal again this Sunday.
Yay!
This Sunday.
So the Bachelor's Meal is not closing.
No. I saw it on the paper, but I hate to jump topics, but I'll be at the Bachelor's Meal at Alley Cat Blue's birthday party.
Oh, yes.
This Sunday, the legendary Alley Cat Blue will be having her legendary birthday party, and I'm going to be there hosting.
All right, Fierce. Which day is that?
This is Sunday.
Coming up.
This Sunday.
And
okay.
this year, what I love is that she has we are a national show, but for those of you all who live in Washington D.C., Alley Cat Blue is known for her. She's known as the showstopper.
The showstopper.
So for her birthday party this year, she has put out. It's a competition. She's challenged the kids to come and bring productions
because she's ready for somebody to take her mantle as showstopper.
Right. And so,
I'm familiar with Alley Cat. Maybe I'm gonna come. Is
she's
it too
giving
late
a prize.
Is it too late for me to? How much is it? How much?
How much is the prize, Tony?
I think $250.
Oh, for best production.
Oh, maybe
That's
I need to get
so
a little dance troupe together. Okay.
It's gonna be fire.
Sunday, we need to check that out.
Yes.
Okay. All right. What's going on with you, Yarde?
Not much. For me this week I'm promoting. Yes, here in Washington D.C. I am a student at the University of District of Columbia Community College.
Amen.
And I am running for president of student government
on
our campus. And so
unopposed. Right, unopposed, right?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's coming for me.
Nobody's.
But if they are, I'm ready.
Look at God. You have no.
The diva's about to be a student body president.
So I'm running for student body president at the community college. So that's what's happening right now.
Does that get free tuition?
If I was paying for it out of pocket, but bless God, I got grants.
Okay,
come on now.
Well, congratulations.
I do want to say this real quick. If Eric Shields is watching, shout out to you for the last minute haircut because I needed to look right for the show.
And you look
I
great.
appreciate you
it
so
does
much.
Look good. I like
Thank
the
you.
little scrap at the top. If I had some hair, I think I would do it.
We can always put some on.
You know they have the men's wigs.
We can do a man weave. Just grow the sides in. I got you.
But I'm so authentic. I can't do this for all that fake stuff.
You say you're authentic?
Yes, I am authentic.
Is that real?
These are real. These are real. these are 2 times a week, baby. Right. All right, let's keep it moving. So, and I'm doing fine. I'm just hanging in there.
That's about to say, what's up with you?
Nothing's just working on the issue, working on the May-June issue.
Yes.
Working on Swerve Weekend, which we're looking at sometime in September. So we'll keep everyone up to date on it. But it's really going to be great. And the May-June issue is going to be so special. I can't wait. Got something special planned for everyone.
Yes.
So,
You gonna give us a hint of what it's gonna be?
Just say sexy.
it's gonna be sexy.
It's gonna be sexy.
I'm not even gonna go into it yet until we shoot it first.
Okay.
But let's get to news because we got a lot of news on our plate here. So first of all, I want to pay homage to Winnie Mandela who passed this weekend.
Yes.
Wow.
You know, I think she was 81 years old.
81 years old.
Yeah, and I mean she's really the ultimate warrior queen.
Yes.
And her involvement in that movement. I mean, can you imagine the years that she spent while her husband was in jail, that she spent keeping that movement afloat?
Wow.
Yeah, I read an article. Well, I didn't get a chance to read the article, but I saw the headline of the article. You know, I saw it in passing, but it said that while a lot of people were advocating for Nelson Mandela to get out, people were afraid of Winnie. because she was slaying the kids.
Oh yeah, she's the one
outside.
Right.
So I just I think it's also amazing, when you look at when we just came out of Women's History Month,
right?
And when you look at women like a Coretta Scott King, and we're going to talk about Martin Luther King and his death, but when you look at Coretta Scott King and Winnie Mandela, and you look at Marley Evers, and you look at those women,
right.
It took and Betty Shabazz, it took women with strength and backbone to be the support system for these men that we look at and we revere, who were leaders. And it's difficult to be a leader without having a safe haven, and these women were the safe haven.
And think about it, they maintained the family.
Yes.
While
right. It's hard for me to imagine that these men would have been the men that they were.
Yeah, without these women, right?
Absolutely.
These women,
right.
Absolutely. I'm curious to see what kind of service, or what the service is going to look like. Who's going to participate? That sort of thing.
Should be interesting.
I'm hoping Michelle Obama participates, but we're going to throw that out there.
I'm hoping that Jay Hutt will actually go, because she played her in the movie.
That's right.
She did.
The movie I never saw.
I never saw the movie either, but I know she played her.
Came to the theater and
left.
Right.
Well, as it should have, but it
Okay. All right. Well, let's keep that moving.
And scene.
And the other, today, of course, April 4th, this year, it celebrates the 50th anniversary of the death of Martin Luther King.
Right.
Yes.
And I don't know if you've been watching all of the stuff they've been doing at the Civil Rights Museum in Memphis. It's been quite special. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I'm gonna, because I sent Jamil the link. Yeah. There was an amazing article done by Time Magazine, and they talked about they called it the whitewashing of the Martin Luther King legacy, and basically they just talked about how, in reality, people don't understand that Martin Luther King went through a series of depression.
Oh yeah,
and that people, black folk too, hated him. At the moment, during all of this, like, we celebrate him, but he was hated. And now that he went through all of this, got killed, the whole shebang, and the article talks about how white liberals use him just to push an agenda. The blacks who are running for office or trying to be in leadership roles use him, and all of these things, and people use him as this hope. But the reality of it is that they all hated him.
Well, I mean, it's a little more complex than that, but yeah. So, I mean, because he challenged people and he was upsetting the apple cart. But at one point, the ministers really came out against him.
They did.
Because he was upsetting things. And then he became very radical towards the end of his life.
Towards the end of his life, he did.
Because he was pushing an agenda that pushed towards redistribution of wealth.
Right.
And then also he was against the Vietnam War.
Right.
And so a lot of people came out against him, tried to keep him in that lane.
In your box, stay in your box.
A lot of that radicalism is what spurred a lot of the conspiracy theories that I've read, about his death, and some people have said conspired with the powers that be that killed him. I'm not saying that's true, allegedly, but I know his radical changes kind of spurred a lot of that.
Sure.
I know there's a video on YouTube about it, and it's just really interesting. You can't really believe everything on the internet, but it's just really interesting.
Well, in that, during that year, I think it was a couple weeks after that, Robert Kennedy was shot.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that was really a devastating year. So we want to make sure that we acknowledge this day as a memorable day in history for civil rights.
The loss of greatness.
Absolutely.
It was also Maya Angelou's 90th birthday.
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
that's
it
right.
is.
Did you see the Google? You see Google?
Yes, they did. Yes. That was amazing.
That was right? I wish I had an image of that. I wish I did. So let's talk about Stacey Abrams. She's running for governor of Georgia. And I'm calling out everybody in Georgia. All the children in Georgia. That's Juan and G. That's Nasom. Let me see. That's Counter Narrative.
Everybody. That's everybody.
Morehouse.
If you go to Bulldogs and you pick up a cocktail, we talking to you.
This sister, there's no way this sister doesn't win this race.
Yes.
She's been, I mean, her credentials are stellar.
Atlanta alone could put her in that.
That's right. That's right.
That seat.
She would be the first black female governor ever. Period.
It can happen.
And she's qualified. So I'm calling everybody out.
Yes.
Did I say Juan and G? Did I say counter narrative?
Yes, you did say that.
Did I say Nason?
And I said Bulldogs.
And Bulldogs, the children.
And everybody in pageantry in Atlanta. That's all y'all.
We need Sophia McIntosh to be.
Come on, Sophia.
Sophia, right?
Sophia
McIntosh. She's the one that she's active in politics, right?
She's pretty active.
She's on the radio down there.
That's
the one with the overcoat.
She's the queen.
She's the queen of comedy.
Right,
queen
right.
in every in
all of us
all
comedy
drag.
MCs.
Right, and shows up with slippers. Is that the one?
I think she has.
Put like this. She's the one that Tyler Perry stole Medea from.
Well, allegedly.
That's right.
There we go. I'm gonna call it out.
I heard her say that.
I say it.
I heard her say that.
Said that.
I say it.
Sophia, yeah, she'll get the kids together.
We need Sophia
she
on
was a
this
delegate
case.
at the DNC convention during Obama's second convention.
Was she?
Yes, she was. Yes, she was.
Oh, okay.
You remember when we did the profile on her?
Yes, we did. Because
Sophia McIntosh.
We covered. So for those of you who follow Swerve Magazine, when we did the pageantry issue,
yes,
and we did the Queens, you were actually featured in that issue.
I was featured in that.
We did the Queens. I did the Queens of Comedy in the pageantry world, and Sophia was one of the people that we featured along with Tony Nelson.
And Sophia is absolutely brilliant,
right?
And she's smart and she understands.
It's a whip. She
has
understands.
a whip. And just FYI, I noticed one of her partners that she does a little show on the radio like this.
Yeah.
Tamisha Iman.
She's one of our writers now.
Tamisha, she writes our what is it?
The Royalty Corner.
The Royalty Corner. Where we, right.
So everything pageantry.
So Tamisha.
Is she in Georgia too?
She's in Georgia too.
I'm calling all you kids in Georgia. We are going to get this
Tamisha.
And if she doesn't get elected, it is because of y'all, because y'all dropped the ball. Okay? All right. And we're going to bring this up often. So, and send her some money. Go to her website, the website for Stacey Abrams for governor, and send that sister some money. $10, $5, something. We're going to get her elected.
Yes.
All right. Moving on. Okay. Oh my goodness. This is going to give me a headache. So, my beloved Howard University.
What's happening at Howard?
We are entering into this is day 7, so tomorrow's going to be day 8.
Day 8.
They still
that the children
they still
have
protesting.
taken over the administrative building.
I'm not mad.
I'm mad because let me tell you why I'm mad.
Why you mad? Why you mad?
Let me tell you why I'm mad.
Because you're alumni?
I'm an alumni.
Uh-huh.
First of all, the Alumni Association came out in support of him, and I said, was there a vote? I don't remember a vote from the Alumni Association.
Voted with support who?
The president.
Oh, okay.
Of Howard. Right, yes.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember a vote. But this is my issue, and I'm going to make this brief. It's been day 8. Have y'all seen our president on TV?
No.
I haven't seen him make one statement.
Oh, okay.
We got a group of students, about 200, 300 students, mostly girls, in our administrative building for 8 days. And you've not said boo about nothing.
I will say this. I'm going to mimic the words of. Actually, he's tuning in. Hey, Theo Willite.
I see Theo.
Theo had posted on his Facebook wall, and I thought his statement was amazing because at first, I go to a HBCU. UDC.
Is UDC an HBCU?
UDC is an HBCU.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Thank you.
I didn't know that.
Yes, we are a HBCU.
Is it a U?
No, it is HBCU.
Okay. I'm just checking.
And if you need to check it, check it.
No hatred.
Come on, check. We're an HBCU. And so I think part of it is, there's an elitism that goes along with Howard University. And so
the original.
But let me finish. There's an elitism that goes with HU. With Howard University.
We don't have enough time
in DC.
Subject.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
That's another ministry.
However, what Theo did say, Theo said, because he is a student at UDC, and he said instead of us reveling in the demise or this challenge of Howard University, we all need to be concerned and try to figure out a solution because the downfall of one HBCU is the downfall of all HBCUs.
Look. There have been issues at Hampton. Hampton students protested this year. FAM about a year ago protested.
Okay.
I mean, our schools are challenged.
But why do people think because they're protesting this is going to be a downfall? This could be an uprise.
It could be. But the way that literally, I don't know. from things that I've heard and things that I've seen and posts that I've seen,
right,
there are people who are slightly reveling in the fact that this kind of happened. So his post was speaking to that in particular. And when I saw it, I was just like, you know what, that's great. So I will have to mimic his words.
Let's keep it moving. But I mean, there's more to be said to this. My worst fear is that there cannot be the physical removal of these mostly female students by police officers on Howard University's campus.
No.
That would ignite a riot.
I think
and
so.
And I know
this
there's been conversation about that. You know, the mayors had to intervene previously in years because Howard University administration have asked for the police to get involved. And I'm sure Muriel Bowser is not going to have her police come in there and remove those girls violently.
Especially not now.
That's right. So I'm just calling on our president that, first of all, he needs to make a statement. The other issue with that is they tried to blame and shame this gay kid who they portrayed as being gay as if he stole the money. And he's jumped all over it. His attorney, he was on CBS today.
Oh, I saw his statement.
Calling the kids out. But anyway.
So what was his interview like?
Oh, the interview, first of all, his attorney, clearly they picked the wrong kid. Because his attorney and he were on with Roland and then on CBS.
Well, according to the allegations, he can afford a sickening lawyer. That was a joke.
No, he just has the family.
The
family has some connections.
Okay.
But what I don't understand is how his financials got released. And that's what he's going to sue the school for.
As it should.
Right.
This is true.
Right. And he's cum laude. He's been there 7 years. He's in law school.
This is true. Like his academic record is impeccable.
Right. So anyway, we're gonna have to move on.
But there are some questions though.
But he didn't have.
Right. I know. I get it. But still, there are questions. There are questions. How do you get a check for what 30?
But that wasn't him though.
Okay.
It was somebody else.
And this is the root of the problem. There's been all this misinformation spiraling.
Okay.
As the leader of the university in this stage of crisis, our president needs to address the Howard community.
Does Howard University have a PR person?
Sure they do.
Where's the PR person?
Where is the president? Where's the president?
But the president shouldn't. I know you watch Scandal. But the president shouldn't speak until they go through a PR person who says this is the statement or release a statement on behalf. Yeah.
We're talking about a major institution in this country.
Right, clearly.
You got professional staff.
Right.
This ain't the first crisis. You got crisis management in place.
But
where is our president?
It shouldn't take 8 days to release a statement.
I agree. You should have jumped all in front of this. And now that you haven't,
now you're behind the bus.
I'm questioning your leadership based on just how you reacted to this situation.
And you've heard it from an HU alum.
So,
and we're going to move to the next subject.
Because my blood sugar is coming up.
I see. Your cholesterol too.
Right. But we got one more thing I got to mention.
Okay.
The Bachelor's Mill. Because Mike, the owner, and Aziz they made a statement that the club is not closing, but it is listed for sale.
It is listed for sale. It is listed for sale.
That's right. It is listed for sale.
I think
so we weren't wrong when we posted those pictures of the for sale signs on the
It is listed for sale, but he's made a statement that it is not closed. And I do know that some of the drag promoters have some things coming up that like Black National Prince.
Yes, Black National Prince and Princess is coming in July.
So at least
we know at least through July.
So maybe unless a buyer comes.
Baby,
to the table.
please don't say that.
So I'm just wondering.
We hope not.
Are we going to clean it up as we prepare it for sale? Is that should we be expecting some major renovations in the interim?
Hopefully. How about that?
Okay. Well, maybe it's like a grill. You know, you clean too much of the stuff off your hamburgers don't come out as good. It might be like that. You know.
We might find a couple skeletons up in there.
You might not dance as good as you clean it up too much. But
we're gonna be banned from the mill.
Well, shut up, y'all. We're gonna keep next subject. But you know what? This what happens. This what happens when you
they need to come on the show and talk to us.
Send the invite out and you don't show up to defend yourself. You leave it wide open. Therefore, if you're interested, Z, in coming to talk about it.
I love Z.
I love AZ. he has been absolutely
He has
phenomenal.
been.
He's
AZ,
been
you've been
phenomenal.
you've been a great supporter of our community, my man.
Yes, you have. Now come through and let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I want to we'll devote some time to it.
We need AZ right here. And so we can talk about it.
Right. Okay, let's move on. Well, we gotta move on. We gotta move on. Okay. So now we're gonna do the hot seat. I'm not even gonna call it something else. We're gonna call it the hot seat.
The hot seat.
So it's a couple things that are hot. First of all, Donna Summer, they're doing Summer, the musical on Broadway, baby.
Yes, baby. I want some of this.
And LaChance is playing her. I don't know if you remember LaChance.
LaChance
from Color Purple.
Yes.
Because I was about to say they need
She's
somebody.
played her in her diva years.
They need somebody with a powerhouse.
Oh, she's a powerhouse.
Because Donna Summers was underrated.
Yeah, she was.
Oh, she was phenomenal.
She was underrated as a vocalist. She was a great.
You know what? I always said that I wanted them to do a biopic of Donna Summers.
Working on it.
And I wanted Kelly Rowland would be the perfect.
Well, you know who was supposed to play her?
Baby, she looks so much like Donna Summers.
Does.
It is no joke.
But she does.
She don't have the vocals.
I don't know if she
Baby,
had,
she's
don't
going
have
to
the vocals of Donna Summers.
We're not talking about a stage production. We're talking about a musical, a movie. She can go in the studio and record the vocals in the studio. Kelly can sing. Don't sleep.
She can sing.
Oh, she has a nice voice.
She has a nice voice.
She's done, yeah. But I don't know.
She's a cute number 2.
I don't know if I can hear her singing MacArthur Park. I just don't know.
But you know, so the woman they were talking about playing her, the girl that plays on Tyler Perry stuff, Tasha Smith, whatever her name.
Tasha Smith?
She was supposed to play Donna Summers.
Really?
Yeah. The girl, she's on.
She with Tyler Perry?
Yeah, she was on the marriage thing. She's the one that played the real outspoken girl.
I know who.
You talking about
twin sister?
The twin, Tasha.
I thought it was Smith. It's
Is it Tasha Smith?
Right.
I think it is.
But the
Tasha
thing
Smith.
about Donna Summers, you talk about her being underrated. I don't know if you recall when Barbara Streisand's Yentl was up for Oscars, and so she had 2 songs up,
Right.
And they asked her to
that.
pick her 2 favorite vocalists. You know who she picked?
Donna Summers
and Jennifer Holliday. That's right.
Yes. Barbara Streisand.
Barbara Streisand did.
You can Google it.
She picked Barbara Streisand. I mean, she picked Donna Summers.
Papa,
and Jennifer Holliday.
Donna Summers sang, Papa, Can You Hear
So the
Me?
2 girls banged it out on the Oscars that year.
And Jennifer Holliday sang The Way He Makes Me Feel.
Wasn't that amazing?
She burned the
She tore that
building
up. She tore that
down.
up.
Oh, I'm going to find that on YouTube.
YouTube, find it. Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll be looking for that clip.
Item number 2. Andre Leon Talley. Documentary. Can we show that trailer? We got the trailer for
Icon.
this. Check it out, y'all.
My mother once said to me, you know that friend of yours, the African prince? I absolutely have never had a friend who's an African prince. Yes, we met him at that party. Andre.
You can be aristocratic without having been born into an aristocratic family.
I became familiar with Andre Leon Talley through Vogue magazine. He's like a black superhero.
They give a nod to the God.
But you're giving us a futuristic James Brown moment on the shoulders.
He's the Nelson Mandela of couture, the Kofi Annan of what you got on.
His bombastic personality
Oh, this is a look.
gave people energy themselves and to take risks.
Why are you being so low-key?
When Andre tosses out all these different words, a lot of people think, oh my God, this guy is crazy.
People's heads went, he was so many things he wasn't supposed to be, and they couldn't get around it.
Fashion should have more Shabadee.
But why don't we see it on the street?
Darling, it depends on what street you're walking on and going down it at what time of day. All of my relatives had style.
Even though they didn't have much, he saw the luxury his grandmother created.
In the South, going to church was the most important thing in life.
And it was a fashion show.
He was outstanding and stood out because of his height, because of his mannerisms.
A bunch of white boys, a duke, decided to throw rocks at me because I was walking the campus. People have said many bad things about me. They used to call me Queen Kong. I was like an ape. I was a gay ape Queen Kong. But I had to move on. I had to get on with my career.
This is Andre Leon Talley reporting live from Paris.
Tu crois que vraiment tu es monsieur qui fait son métier? I think it was the first time they'd ever seen a black man in Paris at the fashion show in a position of importance and influence.
He was like the black rock cat. Person, what? Person. He's the what?
You don't get up and say, look, I'm black and I'm proud. You just do it. And somehow it impacts the culture.
What moves him is that idea of, like, just do it, think it, wear it. There is no hesitation.
She's got to wear this out today.
He is making such a statement about the value of Black life. It is an affirmation.
His career allowed him to say, I showed you I can be what I said I want to be.
Gotcha. All right, folks. So that looks phenomenal. I can't wait.
I'm in tears. I'm literally in tears.
Cannot wait
and
to
see this. And I think it comes out in May, if I'm not sure. I think it's in May that it comes out. So that's, we've got a couple of our icons that got some documentaries out. We talked about Grace Jones last week, and so now
Can I say, just being a black gay man who just absolutely adores fashion and knows so many people who adore fashion, and Andre Leon Talley is the epitome. He is like the person you look at and was like, you did it. The little black boy who had the dream. But I'm talking about the little black boy from the South who had this big dream to work in fashion and to become Andre Leon Talley, the voice, one of the voices, not a black voice, not just a voice
right,
for international fashion is just iconic.
Yeah, his story is amazing.
Iconic.
It is iconic.
So, folks, we got to go see this documentary.
I promise you, the opening night. We all
opening
have
night.
to go see it.
We might all go together. So that's another one. But
we got a list
because your day wants us to.
I want us to do a whole film festival.
He wants Swerv to host everything.
Swerv film festival.
And no one's written us a budget, submitted a budget to us
well,
yet.
Well, if we get these numbers up, then we can make it happen. By the way, if you're watching right now on Facebook, please share this.
Yes, please share.
Please share.
Hi, Albert Frank.
One other thing I do want to mention. So there is an LGBT survey out that I've been posting out. I posted on our Facebook page. So I want everyone to please check that out, and please submit to the survey. And it is targeted at the black LGBT community because we never have marketing data when we go to X for sponsorships and all those things in advertising. And one of the reasons people complain is that, you don't have the data. And so this gives us a chance to acquire the data. So I know we're a partner. NBJC is a partner. Center for Black Equity. All the black publications and organizations tend to be. And so let's push this out. And we'll even push this out through Us Helping Us. That's my
plug.
Organization that's coming up. Yeah. So
can I also say too, we are Swerv Magazine is going to soon, so please look out. We will have an online focus group survey about our magazine. Yes, we will.
We will.
So
okay.
we can move
maybe
to higher heights and become better and give you exactly what you want, need, and desire.
That's what this is. They can answer those questions.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that. Okay. So we got a great musical spotlight. We're running a little behind, so we're going to keep it moving.
Okay.
We got a great musical spotlight. One of my favorite artists, B. Slade. We featured him on our cover back in May, 2 years ago.
Was it May?
The former, also known as Tone. He's one of the most talented artists out there.
Talented.
And this is his take on Beyonce's.
Well, no, it's a sample from Beyonce's Formation, but this is a message.
I mean, he turns
church.
it up. But anyway, okay.
So this is a message to the church, and we thought it was perfect right after Easter Sunday.
Kiki Jacob.
We got to have us a conversation, Mr. B. Slade. We got to have us a conversation. You done snatched this week.
What happened in Oakland?
Yeah, I heard that Tone was whatever his name, B. Slade, whatever, was at Love Center. And did you see what he had on? I mean, like, how do you even minister wearing something like that?
Y'all haters corny with that. He needs deliverance. Check out your quiet stand. They all need deliverance. Attack my character, but half of y'all closet tech. The last convention I attended was emptiness. My daddy was a pastor, but now he's in a casket. My mama dead, but y'all don't care. Y'all niggas need to stop it. Now gospel sucks because ensemble snatch the choir road. But if I dress like Prince and Michael, I'm a homo. Been acting shady since that interview I did with Lexi. I heard B. Slade was a fag. I became a civilian after so much had happened to me, and I had to step away from everything. So this is my first Sunday morning service in 7 years. I'm still here and I'm on it, and on Facebook they talking. You saying that you hate it, but my DMs say you still want it. I still pray for my haters. See you later, alligator. I'm anointed with my shoulder pads and my slashed waist, and y'all hate it. I threw my hat off. They caught it. Don't act new. I I've been on it. I'm B-Slay. Okay, all day. Okay, I'm B-Slay. Okay, all day. Okay, I'm B-Slay. Okay, all day. Okay, I'm B-Slay. Okay, 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 okay. I think it's time we had a real conversation. Cause I slay. I think it's time we had a real conversation. Cause I slay. Switched up your story since the last convocation. Cause I slay. Look in the mirror, have a self-confrontation. Out on sleeping with the drummer, now she back at the altar. Out on sleeping with the bass player, now she back at the altar. Past us trying to get my number in the lobby right after. You don't know the price that I paid for my box of Alabaster. Her make me over on the radio station. You heard make me over on the radio station. I'm the same dude that wrote them tunes, but you discriminating. I snatched them wigs, but you ain't gon' snatch my salvation. I'm still here and I'm on it, and on Facebook they talking. You saying that you hate it, but my DM say you still want it. I still pray for my haters. See you later, alligator. I'm anointed with my shoulder pads and my snatch waist, and y'all hate it. I threw my hat off. They caught it. Don't act new. I've been on it. I'm B-Slay. Okay, all day. Okay, I'm B-Slay. Okay, all day. Okay, I'm B-Slay. Okay, all day. Okay, I'm B-Slay. Okay, 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 okay. I think it's time we had a real conversation. Cause I slay. I think it's time we had a real conversation. Cause I slay. Switched up your story since the last convocation. Cause I slay. Look in the mirror, have a self-confrontation. Okay, I think it's time we had a real conversation. I think it's time we had a real conversation. I must be that dude if I caused all this conversation. Always stay gracious, leave revenge to the savior.
Yes.
B-Slade.
Come on, B.
B-Slade is awesome. I mean,
that was awesome.
And you know, he's working with everybody. He's producing everybody on his son, Faith Evans, Kelly Price.
Yes, he done crossed over.
Shaka, the tune he did with Shaka, it's amazing.
Right.
Yes.
But anyway, we have a special guest with us.
Yes.
This is Dr. DeMarc Hickson, the new, are you still new?
Yeah, within my first year.
First year, right?
First year.
Okay. Ooh, 12
First year,
months.
still new.
New executive director for the illustrious Us Helping Us, People into Living organization, AIDS service organization in Washington, D.C. So we want to welcome.
Yes,
Welcome.
And before you start, if you are watching on Facebook, please share this video. Thank you.
Share. Please share.
And I want to give a shout out to Clarence Black. He is one of our writers. He is on
Hey,
Clarence.
Hey, Clarence.
Okay, and we're back. And
all right. So Dr. Hickson, I don't know if you around the country are familiar with. If you're not familiar with Us Helping Us, it's one of the sort of the oldest organizations of its kind, AIDS service organizations, but it's morphed into other things. And it was run by Dr. Ron Simmons for about 25 years, right? 25 years. Mm-hmm. And so after a great in-depth search around the country, we found Dr. DeMarc Hickson. I'm on the board of Us Helping Us, thank goodness. And so trying to do our part. And so we want to welcome Dr. Hickson. So tell us, what's it like running? How do you feel about your role here now, running this legendary organization?
I'm loving it. I was talking with one of my mentors, Dr. Cynthia Trawick, who is the director of Project Imhotep at Morehouse College, and we were talking because we're going to have some interns this summer from that program, and I was just telling her, I was like, I'm loving it. I served as second in command as chief operating officer for about 4 years, and have had academic appointments at several universities. So it's certainly different, and now to be here and knowing the history of Us Helping Us, the founders, knowing Rainy Cheeks, knowing Ron for many years, to actually follow in their footsteps is amazing. So,
wow. And so there's been a transition with many of the organizations around the country. I know NASM has new leadership.
We were just talking about Phil.
Phil Wilson leaving Black AIDS Institute. So is there a sea change in sort of the fight around HIV? And I know we do more than that, but is there a sea change happening?
If you look at the recent transitions in several of the older organizations, then I would certainly say that. As you mentioned, NASM in Atlanta. You have Black AIDS Institute out in L.A. I don't know if you want to call UCHAPS one, but UCHAPS with Kevin Jones, another Black gay man. And so you are seeing this because I think with the advancements that are being made in HIV, and then also with the biomedical advancements, then that's also changing that landscape. So now HIV is becoming a chronic disease, and so it's one of those that are within hypertension and diabetes and everything else. So now we have to consider that amongst everything else, and so you kind of have that change from when HIV at the early stages of the epidemic, there was a lot of advocacy to bring the issues to the table. Now is here, and now how do you now deal with HIV as a comorbid condition with other conditions? So.
Do you see that change as a challenge? And how would you suggest organizations like yours face that challenge and fight that challenge, if it is a challenge to you?
Right. I think that it is a particular challenge, especially when you have nonprofit organizations for over 15, 20 years that have been funded by federal agencies such as CDC specifically to do HIV testing, right? And so you did HIV testing, and then you referred them or linked them to care. So you had to have this great relationship with some type of medical provider to do those services. And so now, as we know in this administration, with the different attacks on the budgets for Ryan White, for HIV, for CDC, and other federal agencies that award money for HIV prevention, treatment, and care, then you do see that. So if organizations like us helping us, AIDS service organizations, cannot shift with that paradigm and shift with many of the challenges, then it will be a challenge. So again, in trying to treat the entire individual, we talk about it anecdotally a lot of times and saying, oh, it's transportation, oh, it's poverty, housing. So now agencies now actually have to get in to address those particular issues. So the challenge to me are opportunities.
Right.
So we just look at it in that perspective.
So what is the state of HIV within the Black LGBT community in DC? Where do we stand with that? I mean, are we still at those high rates that we used to have before? We were like the second highest rates in the country all the time.
Well, DC, if you look at some of the recent estimates from the CDC, you see that 1 in 13 DC residents will acquire HIV in their lifetime. So that is the highest in the nation. I think it's 1 in 13, if I remember correctly. But then if we look at Black MSM, which is 1 in 2 in their lifetime, then
say that again, please. Say that again, so that our readers hear that. I want that to really resonate with people.
So, according to recent data that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention released, they estimate that if current trends in HIV prevention, treatment, and care continue, so if we continue basically doing the same things that we're doing, that 1 in 2 Black MSM or Black gay, bisexual, and same gender loving men will acquire HIV in their lifetime. So if we mix that with already 1 in 13 Washington, D.C. residents who also have a risk of becoming infected with HIV, then it's just really high numbers. And so if we look at even some of the surveillance data from the D.C. Department of Health, where they showed a decline of 347 new infections, really about 20 to 40%, I can't remember the exact number, are among Black men. So then if you just extrapolate already those numbers, then you'll see that those numbers are high.
We got you sweating, man.
You got them sweating.
So can
we already had the hot seat.
This is my new executive director. No sweating. We're gonna get you some water in a minute.
I need Botox. A Botox sponsors.
Y'all got my ED.
That's what we're looking at. Botox sponsors. You can hit us up.
No sweating. It's these lights, all the studio lights.
So I have this question. So I think, a lot of people nationally know in DC, Us Helping Us is the premier Black LGBT organization that's been here, and it's iconic. It's legendary. And so it is, I can only imagine what it felt like to step into Ron Simmons' shoes, because Ron Simmons is such an icon here. I used to work at Us Helping Us, so I'm quite familiar. This is my biggest question for you is when you've been in almost a year. When you're done, what do you want your legacy to have been?
That we got the 0 new infections.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and or that we got that there is a decline among Black MSM or Black and bisexual men nationally, but that we really move towards getting to zero new infections. Okay. So we do see where things are starting to stabilize and they're not increasing, though we do see in some geographic regions where they do continue to increase. But at least we're getting to that point to where the train is starting to stop, and then we can start to reverse that trend.
And now that you're there, how is your approach different than what has been?
Well, we're looking at it from a very comprehensive, holistic approach.
Okay.
And so, again, as I mentioned earlier, we're looking to address that where some people call it the social determinants of health.
Okay.
Right. And so we are starting to expand our portfolio where we can start to provide, for example, emergency financial assistance, where it's assisting with utilities, or we're assisting with rental assistance.
Right.
So
I notice we've got a clothing
closet, right?
Closet.
And so, and also transportation.
Oh, that used Gucci that you're not wearing no more.
Right.
I got mine on.
Which I think is great.
So
yeah, I
Tony,
think it's wonderful.
you can donate it.
That's right.
We have donation sites at
those
our DC
Gucci
office.
loafers that you don't wear no more.
I got them on my feet.
Right
so,
now.
by the way, so when we talk about those things, which I think is great, because I do believe that ultimately it is about the whole person.
Right.
Before you get down to the small things, you have to see what else is happening, because for some people, those things are not priority. What plays priority is survival,
right?
The basics of life. But since you talked about that, and we talked about Tony's going to give some Gucci, amen.
That's right. But
how can people donate to Us Helping Us and your clothes bank and money
and financials
and give us the rundown.
All right, so I'm gonna wait for everybody to get their pen and paper.
Okay. No, we're there already.
So financially, you can donate. You can go to our website at www.uhupil.org. And that's where you can make a financial contribution. Right now, we actually have our spring fund drive going on, where we're aiming to raise $5,000 so that we can continue to serve the DMV community, where these funds that are raised during the spring will go towards activities in the summer. So we're doing a quarterly seasonal fund drive. So that's where you can do financially in terms of clothing, food, because we are starting up a food pantry called the Us Helping Us Cupboard, as well as the denim cupboard. You can do food donations, clothing donations, even transportation. So if you have an old car that you want to donate, you can actually drop that off at our DC office, which is at 3636 Georgia Avenue Northwest, or at our Maryland/denim office, which is at 8240 Professional Place in Landover, Maryland.
Y'all just need to go to our website.
Yeah, go to our website. And
PIL.org.
Yes.
And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about PrEP. Because everyone's talking about, well, not everyone, not enough people are talking about it.
I hear a lot about it.
But there's just a lot of uncertainty and a lot of misinformation out there about it.
And when you break down PrEP, please break down PEP.
PEP.
Right. Because a
there's
lot
a
of people,
PEP,
and I don't know how
there's a
PEP,
right. And a lot of people don't know about PEP.
Okay, I'm one of
those.
But
they get confused about PEP and PrEP, and there's a difference. So
and where can we? Because we don't have enough time for you to tell us everything about it, but then we got to also let them know they come to us.
So you can come to Us Helping Us. We actually have a PrEP page that's dedicated with all the information about PrEP and PEP, and we also I can't leave out treatment as prevention. So those that are living with HIV to achieve and maintain viral suppression. But with PrEP, which is pre-exposure prophylaxis, at Us Helping Us, we currently have a PrEP navigator educator and navigators. Our entire staff incorporates that in all of our services. But Brian Champion Thompson can help educate you and navigate you those two particular services. And PEP, which is the post-exposure prophylaxis, we also provide those education and navigation services. So PrEP is before any potential exposure. It's currently its appeal from Gilead Sciences that if taken once a day, that actually protects someone who is HIV negative from acquiring HIV. And so PEP kind of works in a similar fashion, except for it's after any potential exposure. But there is a kind of sidebar and caveat with that. Not all providers here in the DMV area know about PEP and or are willing to prescribe PrEP. Or PEP, which is at Us Helping Us. We kind of secret shopped and have worked with a number of providers who will provide PrEP and or PEP. And so, again, we have a very knowledgeable staff that can help anyone and give us about 2 or 3 months, but we'll be providing PrEP at us helping us soon as well.
Right. See, I didn't know that. I know we're doing it.
I was recently at a program, and it was about PrEP versus condoms. And one of the statements...
Wow, that's a problem.
That's a good topic.
That's a problem right there.
There was a whole program about it. But one of the statements that was made that I found shocking, which I didn't know, but that's okay, I don't know everything, was if your viral load is suppressed, you cannot transmit HIV. Is that?
Well, I wouldn't say cannot.
Right. It's very high, 99%.
Right. So
and that's actually a campaign that I know that the DC Department of Health and HOSTA are promoting, which is undetectable equals untransmittable.
However,
so very close to HU is U equals U. And so, but there is that caveat because there is not a 100% contraceptive or biomedical prevention method that will stop the transmission or the acquisition of HIV. And so, but treatment as prevention or adherent use of the antiretrovirals for those living with HIV and PrEP have efficacies higher than condoms. And so that's why there's always that debate. So,
but it doesn't stop from other STDs.
And it definitely doesn't stop.
So I mean, with 1 and 2, those are startling stats.
Right.
If half of us are going to be projected to be HIV positive, so what is at the root of why our people are still acquiring HIV? I mean, because there's enough information out there, the condoms are available. What is really at the root of it?
Well, I think, and Yardae's probably going to jump in.
I mean, we don't have enough time. We probably don't have enough time to solve that. But.
For me, I'll say the 2 important ones for me, and the first one is around stigma and discrimination, especially stigma and discrimination from the people that look like us, walk like us, talk like us, particularly in the religious community. And so that's one, and then you have those even within.
But let's delve into that. Stigma around the sexuality or
stigma
around the status,
around
HIV status?
Well, one around the stigma around the sexual orientation and gender identity, so that's one. Then mixed with PrEP, because then that's already been cast as like, oh, well, you must really be having sex with everybody and blah, blah, blah. And then, or if you see the vial in which the medications come in is Truvada, which is an antiretroviral for those living with HIV. So then again, now you're stigmatized on that, right? And then so one, you have one institution being the religious institution as one with stigma, but then you have our normal community institutions. I know, Jamil, you're talking about Howard, but there's a great stigma there. I mean, we have a number of students, and we welcome any students that come to us helping us, but we have some that just don't want to go to those health services centers at these HBCUs, and it's just not Howard. It's across. I went to Norfolk State, and we was like, who we have a clinic?
That's okay.
We're not
I still like gold anyway.
The green and gold, exactly.
I think green was gold. I think it was yellow, but anyway, we won't even deal in that.
Hello, Alicia.
Well,
hey, Alicia.
So what can we do? I mean, is there something that we can do? I mean, it sounds like our people need to become more educated, maybe. I mean, because I hear that we're not talking about it, and I still hear people talking about they don't like condoms, and and I'm like, really? In 2018, you ain't found a condom that you like? Really? Come on.
Well, yes, I got you. And so for me, especially when it comes to prevention, I think that you just have to promote all of the options.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so there's work around rectal microbicides. There's an injectable PrEP. There's a lot of research work.
I don't know what that is.
It sounded fun, though.
Well, it's
the
just
rectal
another
part I got,
just
but the other part I was
prevention.
like,
right. So I know that's a lot of things that's coming, but I think one of the things and one of the biggest things that can help is for the Black LGBT community to be engaged in these studies, because then it's made where we see representation in the studies, and we know that it's for us as well.
Okay, we're going to start moving. I just want to make sure that, HIV and AIDS is still our problem, folks, and I want to make sure that it is on our radar. You know, we've got to talk about it, and we need to support the organizations that are addressing this issue in our communities all over the country. I mean, it's what is it, NASM? It's In the Meantime out in California. Shout out to Jeffrey King. I mean,
Someone Cares in Atlanta.
Someone Cares in Atlanta. Abounding Prosperity in Dallas. You know, all of those organizations need all of the children out there to get involved and be supportive, and let's get the word out, because 1 and 2 is just startling.
It's scary.
And no one's talking about it but us, so we need to talk about it. It's our issue, and it's our solution. Right. So we just got a few seconds. So I want to hear what you're doing in D.C. What else? How do you like it?
How you like it?
Isn't it fabulous?
Oh, I'm loving it. My phone is dead now, so I don't know how I'm gonna get home. So I still use the GPS.
You gotta charge
but I like it though. Go to a number of different restaurants. I think I've gotten my freshman 15.
Oh, he's a foodie here.
Oh, okay.
Mark's a foodie, right.
I like that.
Well, we're going to have to throw a welcoming event so that we can introduce him to everyone in the community, because everyone keeps telling me they haven't met you yet. And I can't believe that. Yeah, we're going to change that.
He should come to one of my shows. Maybe you could come to my show at Mr. Henry's. It's the last Sunday of every month.
Did you hear that?
Mr. Henry, the legendary Mr. Henry's, where Roberta Black was discovered.
Yes, she was. And the bar is named after her.
It's called Strong J's Lipstick Review. You should come.
I didn't know it was
It's the last Sunday of every month.
Okay.
The fourth Sunday of every month.
Did y'all hear that? Last Sunday
of every month.
Performance?
In Washington, D.C.
Guest performance.
If you want to guess,
baby, Brent, what? Don't start that. Won't be that.
They can make you look like Naomi Campbell if you want to now.
And depending on what character do you want to play, a girl or boy? Which one you want? I can make it happen.
You can come on. It's always a nice crowd.
Don't be corrupting my ED, y'all. Don't be doing that. Anyway.
You'll be legend.
Jacob, how are we on time? We're good. We got a few minutes.
Yes.
All right. So folks, what are we planning for? I know us helping us always host a number of activities during Black Pride. So
this is your first Pride, right?
What do we got? What do we got planned for Pride?
Right now, we're looking at a community event at our main office at 3636 Georgia Avenue on that Thursday, and we're currently in talks with a few others in terms of the Pride in the Park, as well as Prep Meets Treatment as Prevention brunch. So again, having that conversation and really getting the Black LGBT community moving towards the uptake and adherence to both PrEP and antiretroviral.
Okay, DC folks, we're calling everybody out. We need to get on board with this, because this is our problem. Everyone needs, all you opinion leaders, you club promoters, if you run an organization, if you are the lead, the alpha male in your little group, your brunch group or something, you need to get active. Yes. Check our website, because we need to save our folks. It's our lives to save.
And if you're the wallflower in your group, maybe you should become the alpha male. Come on.
Tony Nelson said it, y'all. Tony Nelson said it. So I think we're closing out. We're closing out, Jacob. Are we closing out on us? All right, folks. Well, we want to thank everyone for joining us. I think next week we've got Shaquita Lee.
Shaquita Lee will be
here. Shaquita Lee. Shout out. Shaquita says she's going to come on the show. I don't know if she's going to come as Shaquita Lee or
she'll probably come as Shaquita Lee.
I don't know. So it remains to be seen. So I want to thank everyone. Check out Swerve. Check our website.
Shout out to my mama. Hey, Mark, for watching.
Check out Us Up in the Us website, uhupil.org.
Yes.
And join and like our Facebook page. And I want to thank everyone.
Oh, follow us, by the way. Follow us if you are on Instagram, swervemagazine.com. No, just Swerve Magazine. Right. If you're on Facebook, Swerve Magazine. And if you're on Twitter.
Yes, we're on Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter.
Magazine. We're on Twitter.
Swerve Magazine.
We're social. We got social media.
Yeah, and we get ready to get a couple of more platforms.
And we're also on YouTube. So you can watch this. I know you've watched this live. But you can also see it on our YouTube channel.
And in the words of Racine, I'm going to throw a shameless plug. You can find me at Yardé Noir on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook under YardéNoir.com.
You better
and Yardé Noir is getting ready to come to YouTube with a series called Cosmetics, Cocktails, and Conversations.
Cosmetics,
Cocktails, and Conversations with Yardé Noir.
All right, did y'all hear that?
Coming soon.
This is my first time hearing it. Bye, folks.
Hey, Baron.
See y'all next time. Thanks to Mark for joining
us.
Thanks, Tony.
See y'all next week.
Thank you, Yardé. Peace out.
Listen, vision. DC. #1 recording studio.